Welcome to Forever Exiled. Oh, get that in there. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
What you snacking on there, bud?
Cashews, nice and soft for the podcast, Mike.
Lovely. Welcome to episode 263 of Forever Exiled. Big shout out to our patrons. Thanks everybody who resubbed up this week. Patreon gets access to After Dark, our podcast after the podcast. It's just more of us, a sticker, a card, and virtual high fives. Thank you.
You get a sticker and card. You don't listen to us reading about stickers and cards. You get one.
You never know, though. There could be an episode where we talk about stickers and cards. I'm sure it's happened or close to that. Right?
And we still have a car to give away.
Oh, yeah, it's coming. Just wait.
You betcha. You betcha. We actually tried ordering one once.
We did.
And that didn't work out.
It was close. We came close, but then the purveyor of said car dropped the ball. So,
no what car. Do you call this?
A nut.
No. How do you say this nut?
I literally would call it a nut because I don't know the difference between nuts. Okay. I know a peanut and an almond. If it's a cashew, I would say cashew.
I'll say, so you emphasize the A, hey? Cashew.
What do you say?
I say cashews.
Oh, you're so gross. Why? Cashews. It's like,
do you
what's
say,
the point? Oh,
do you say reverse or reverse?
Reverse.
Okay, that's fine.
What else we got?
There was a few others I had in my head at the same time.
Captain or captain? Hey, October 23rd, official Windows release. I got it for you. 11 years ago.
It's going to be a good one today.
I did my math 11 years ago.
Wow, nice math skills.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was when the PC version released of Path of Exile.
So the official version.
Way to go, GGG. 11 years. And 11 years, almost to the month. If they're on time, the beta will come out.
Yeah.
That's a long time to have a permanent game.
Yeah, especially with constant updates. It's really impressive. It really is.
It is. Mm-hmm. It is. And just for the sake of records and like people like, oh, wow, that's amazing. I still wish Path of Exile 2 was just a big Path of Exile 1 update.
Oh, I don't.
Because then people could say, oh, it's still going after they shut down Path of Exile 1, which we all know is going to happen at some point.
Also, Discord, could you catch up, please, so I can see his lips moving at the same time as his voice?
My Discord's fine. Just,
I know it.
Get better GBs.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. It happens every time we start, and then as we get going, it lines up and everything looks fine. But
is this the weekly reminder that your computer needs to restart every now and then?
No, I literally just had to reboot it. I was doing an update the other day, and all my stuff works fine because I'm on Zoom calls all the time, and everybody's fine. It's just Discord that does this, and it's just with you. So, ergo.
Hey, Justin, while we're on the subject.
Yeah.
Bon fête, mon ami.
Coming up. Yeah. Well, to Logan.
Oh, yes. And to Logan, your son. Yes.
Yep.
Sharing your birthday.
It's coming up.
Happy birthday to the both of you, Logan and Justin.
Mm-hmm.
Logan is turning
15.
15.
He's been playing some
can
PoE.
I say your? Yeah, I can say your age.
42.
You're 42, man.
Man, I never remember.
No, but think about this.
Okay, tell me.
In half your life, you're 84.
Okay. So you mean in double my life?
Right. So if you're halfway through your life, you're going to be 84.
Not halfway through my life. Come on now.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to ask you.
I'm not middle-aged.
What's too early? And what you're not middle-aged. Get out of here. You have a Miata and you know it.
Nope.
You were craving that convertible Miata. Oh, if you were born 15 years earlier, you would have had one.
I drove past Christina and I are out, and it looked like a Sebring convertible, and I was like, all right, lady, like, come on. I told Christina it's the Michael Scott. Sorry, what were you gonna ask me?
Actually, you're like midlife crisis consideration. You never went through with it, but you really wanted the Chrysler 500.
No, 300
when it first came out.
The 300.
Was it the 300?
Yeah, that was back when I was like 20 and thought it was cool.
No, it was early 30s when it came out, and they were hot and everybody had it.
It was earlier in 30s, but yeah. That was so.
Oh,
You know
that would've
why?
been,
It
like,
just
the
had
worst
the Bentley
decision you
look.
ever made.
It had the Bentley
Yeah.
look at the front
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
But when they first came out, they were gas guzzling horrors. They were brutal.
It's not like my car I bought at that time was any better. I had a Grand Prix, like a V6, like massive, just like hit that gas. I mean, it was fun to drive, but
Sure, yeah, it had some boost, and you only knew 2 speeds: brake and full gas.
there's no other speeds.
Well, now you're
Yeah, now I'm chill.
I can drive. Yeah, you're totally chill. But before, that was the wrong engine to have with that kind of ankle pressure.
When Christina's in my car, she's like, I sometimes forget your car's so fast. Because she'll be on the highway and doing 150 and she doesn't even feel it versus her car.
50 or 15?
50. And she just doesn't realize she's going as fast as she's going just because of how fast it goes. But
Wow.
how,
So,
what were you going to ask me though about age? What did I have to do?
So what's too early?
Say I've
And
half?
what's decent
I would
in
like to
terms
be
of like an
100.
age? If you died when you were 70, is that too early? If you died when you're
Way-
80, is like, you know
yes,
what?
too
That's early, but
Too
that's,
early.
it's 80. What's
I'm
like your okay,
95.
like I'm sad.
95.
So if you died when you're 91,
I'm going to be bothered.
like if you had the same, like attitude that you have today, if you died
long
when
as
you were
I'm healthy.
91,
as long as I'm healthy. Yeah. That would be too
you
early.
would feel like 91's too early.
Yep.
Okay.
There's too many things I want to watch. I want to watch my kids do their thing and their kids do
Oh,
their thing.
I thought you were going to think about shows. There's going to be so many good shows in my life.
The next season of whatever
Netflix in
hasn't
30
even come
years.
out.
That's right. Days of Our Lives Are Young and the Restless, season 78.
Man, I had the weirdest dream about Netflix last night, and it wasn't just Netflix. It was it was Netflix, Amazon, Apple, and who's the other one that makes shows? Disney.
Crave.
Disney Plus.
Okay.
Well, I think everything's owned by those four, essentially, to some degree. But they all have
Crave's
this.
Canadian. It's Bell. Isn't that ridiculous? You can tell by how they run it too.
You know what? It doesn't make sense with Crave. Is somehow I need a subscription to Crave to watch some stuff on Amazon Plus, and I'm like, what? I went to turn on a show, and it was like, you need a subscription to Crave. I'm like, hey, Amazon, I'm on Amazon. I pay for Amazon. Why are you telling me I need a Crave subscription to watch this? So I just went and watched it a different way. But yeah, in this dream, they all had this. They were purposefully spinning the stories. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it. It was an amusing dream. I had fun in it.
Okay. Well, happy birthday, Justin and Logan. Bon fête.
Yep. How's your week?
Good, man. Good.
Yeah.
I planted some grass seed.
Oh,
It's a little cold, but I mean,
did?
there's no.
you just find screw it. I'm going to do it.
Well, because we have like a couple consistently rainy weeks coming up, so I'm not
Yeah, but it's like we're getting that another, what's that thing called?
atmospheric river.
Yeah, it's apparently coming this weekend.
Yeah, it'll be a lot, and it'll be too much. And I basically already given half of the neighborhood birds all their food for the winter anyway. Like the
Hopefully they've
second
all
I
flown
plant,
somewhere else.
the kids are like, "Look at all the birds," and I'm like, "No, it just spent an hour doing it." And then Erin, she's laughing at me, and the kids are looking in the front yard, and then Erin like giggles and looks to the back because that's where her bird feeder is. But then she sees the backyard, and she's like, "Kids, look at the backyard," and just as many. Yeah, so it's basically all gone. But I mean, there's no point. You could get away with planting old grass seed, but I'm trying to get away from grass seed in general and just let it happen and enjoy it, and weed it, but let it grow in on its own. Because we just have too many moles and too many circumstances make it so that it's just too much work.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I have bags of grass seed that I got that were on sale. And then, of course, with my health situation, I wasn't able to take good advantage of the opportunities this year. I think I did do something in spring, but it didn't catch, even though I was doing everything right. Just how life went. So anyway, I have these bags of grass seed, but I don't want to do the seed anymore. So I was looking forward to us actually having a fall this year. Was it last year or the year before where it just went from
It was like a day.
summer? Yeah, kind of like in Monty Python when they're talking about how long the group has been searching for the Holy Grail. There's this animation where it's like, and summer went into fall, which went directly into spring. It skips. Yeah. So we had, we skipped fall last season. So I was excited to do it this year. I know it's a little cold, but I'm like, you know what? I got to get it done anyway, because I'll get rid of the last grass seed this coming spring. I'll sprinkle it apathetically and hope for the best.
And now
But you're welcome,
wait.
neighborhood birds. Yes, that's right. And then I've actually been playing lots of Age of Empires.
Oh,
I
we
spent
played
some
last
good
week,
time. Yes, we did. And I'm glad you played. Thank you. And I been putting a lot of time into Path of Exile as well. And then I've done a few shows like last night. It was funny. So you were a little bit late coming on today, and fine. It was a great day for it. I watched 2 movies last night, and I get some actors and actresses mixed up because they look so similar. Anna Kendrick and what's her name? Kate Mara are one. Like, I know they're different, but every time I see Kate Mara, I'm like, man, she looks like Anna Kendrick, but then I never remember her name. Right. And just last night, by complete chance, I watched a movie called The Discovery, and it has someone named Rooney Mara, who I've seen in shows before, many shows, and she's great. And then the next show on my watch list, just by chance, was a show called Trans-Siberian. And that had Kate Mara in it. And it was only then that I realized sisters? They share the same last name. And yeah, they don't even look similar, but they're sisters, same parents. And here was the funny thing, though. Was it their grandparents or their great-grandparents founded 2 NFL teams? So really? Her parenting and her like family, uncles, grandparents, they're like the honchos, the actual founding ownership and CEOs and chairmans of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Giants.
Really? How did that? Isn't that weird? Did you figure that out? What, you did some deep dives? Because
you were a couple minutes late, and I'm like, they do have the same last name. I should check this out, right? I don't really look up a lot of the actors, and I'm one of those people where I actually kind of go out of my way to not care about celebrities, try and remember, sounds silly, but it's easy to get lost in. Sure. Right. But, they're just people, they're equals. Who cares who they're dating or married or whatever? They're just people, and they have their jobs, and they're either good at it or not. And, but I'm like, they have the same last name. Let's go check it out. So that was it.
How were the 2 movies?
Great. I actually really liked them both, which is, really cool.
Nice.
And Agatha All Along, even though it's not my kind of show, I still have a lot of questions, and it's on my mind every now and then. After the show, Aaron and I are like, so I wonder if this, that, and another thing. And we'll spend 30 minutes talking about it. After the last episode, Aaron and I, she was planning on going to bed.
Before.
Yep. Yep. It's a Disney, part of the MCU.
Okay, cool.
And then we actually went back and watched a whole episode of WandaVision. 1.5 episodes of WandaVision just to try and cool. and make connections and understand what's happening and motivations. And then I started watching a show called Homecoming, kind of like something episodic that I can watch when, like I'm like in between chores and there's not enough time for this next chore, but I got like half an hour to wait to pick up the kids.
Are there a lot of episodes? Is that why you started that one? Or I don't know Homecoming either.
No, I don't even remember. I think it's a Prime original. Julia Roberts is in it. I really like the premise in it, where it's about like a support company or group that for veterans when they come back from war in the States. So I don't know the proper terminology that they use, but and they come back, but there's obviously twists, turns, and deceits in regard to said company. So it's curious to see where it goes. But it seems like most of these are the kind of stories that I like. Most of the story is just through dialogue, like through a counseling session or a phone call type of thing. It's not very action oriented. It's just like reminiscing and trying to figure out investigative. So I like that stuff.
Cool.
Anyway, it was a good filling week. It was nice. How about you?
Well, I was sick. We had Thanksgiving, which I survived.
Yes. I saw some of those text messages. Very good. They seemed very Vegas-y.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get.
Well, good for you. Congratulations on surviving.
And what else did I do this week? It was work, man. It's funny how after being sick, when you wake up the day where you're not sick, you kind of forget that you were sick and you're like, all right, let's go. I feel good. So it was just busy with work. I'm trying to think what else I did this week. We've watched a couple shows. We watched some Netflix show that was one of their newest trending ones. I don't know. It's got what's the girl's name? What is her name? Blonde girl. She's married to Dax Shepard. She had
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell. Yeah, it was a TV show with her, and
That's me not knowing celebrities.
Yeah. I know Dax Shepard because of his interviews with Daniel Ricciardo, and obviously Without a Paddle. But
oh, that show. Go ahead.
So we watched a TV show that was with her in it, which was good. And then what else did we watch? I think I already told you we finished Ring of Power. That's pretty much it, man. My week was good. It was just work. It was a lot of taking the girls to dance this week, and when I say a lot, I mean like one, which is a lot. But also, I can't wait for construction in our side of town to just piss right off, because I have been more angry in this last week just trying to drive away from our side of town. Like, there's nowhere to go. They're everywhere. And
they are.
You know what? When it's construction for the benefit of all, I'm all into it. I don't like it, but I can get through it. When it's construction to the benefit of 2 residential lots, not on board. I'm not on board. I don't know who at the city says, yeah, that's fine. You can shut down 2 major roads for your house. Get out of here. Anyway.
I think it is city plumbing that's going under the road.
Yeah, but it's providing for 2 residential lots. That's what they're being done for. So I don't care if they're being subdivided. It's not worth it for 1 extra lot. Get out of here. So anyway, but you know what? The week was fine. It's been good. Next week sucks for me. It's a lot of driving next week. So I'm just enjoying chilling this week because next week sucks.
You going to hire somebody soon?
No. Nah.
Think about how much WoW time you could get.
I'm using my arm. No,
I can see that. Yeah.
Even WoW's, I haven't had a ton of time to play WoW. WoW is definitely, it's hitting that point. I was laughing at Christina about it this week because I was trying to play with people that I played with and they do their raiding thing. And I was doing the raid with them and I was like, this is dumb. Why am I here? This isn't fun. I don't enjoy this at all.
Spent your time. So, well, make sure you unsubscribe before it's accidentally 5 months.
I'm not set up to auto whatever it is. So I don't know when it ends, but yeah, Logan played some Path of Exile this week. So I was watching him play a little bit and then that's it, man. It was just work. Good week, but nothing overly exciting I'm just not sick. So, you know.
You've been healed. Amen. Hallelujah.
That's what enough drugs. I'll do it for you every time. Yeah, I was just looking to see, but there's nothing else.
What's your shirt say?
We have a race this weekend.
Oh, I see it.
Supply and Demand, New York City. I don't even know where it's from. Honestly, I don't remember, but it was probably awesome. Yeah, we got a race this weekend though. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, we do. All 6 tracks coming up are good, and they're 3 in a row. 1 week, 3 in a row.
Yep.
It's going to be a crazy finish to the end of the season.
Are there any sprints?
Next 2 months. I think there's 2.
Oh, really? There's not one in USA. I'm taking a gander. Nope. And
it's normally one in Brazil.
One in Brazil, but not in Mexico and not in USA. I could do without the sprints.
Sprints are stupid.
They were fun to watch in the beginning, but now it's just more of a pain for me to try and manage the time on the weekend to try and watch them because I want to, but I don't always have the time to. So, and I'm not, and now I don't, we used to watch like both sets of qualifying and the sprint and the race. That just we didn't do that at all this year. So are they getting rid of the single point starting now?
No, starting 2025.
Next year?
Okay. Slot point is no longer
2025, like as in January or next year's season?
After this season, only starting next season.
Will this season end by the end of 2024? Does it actually end before December? Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
It doesn't go into the new year like our hockey season.
That's probably started, right? October. I feel like that's a thing that's kicked in, right? Hockey?
Oh, hockey? Yeah. Canucks have played 3 games. 3 games. Yeah?
How they doing? How the boys doing?
Good. Oh, I think it's actually 4 games. We've won 1 game, and we're probably going to win the cup. Obviously,
this is the year.
That's right.
Oh, that's good. All right, cool. So,
interesting. Click on This Week in PoE on the little card there.
But normally there's stuff.
Right. GGG did not make a post this week.
They said they were going to every single week. What the heck?
I think this is the first time they haven't. No. I think that's awesome.
Criticism, but also
yeah, that's right. Come up with some stupid fluff. No, man, I love it.
What are they supposed to do?
Always talk when there's something to say. Like, don't fluff it out. Don't
it's
make
the same
me.
For us.
Oh, an announcement. What are you guys playing as this week? Vote up my. No. Like I like how they do it, but I don't think we've ever had a week where they haven't posted anything, be it fan art or
competitions.
Like nothing. So
there's nothing.
You can tell that it's really crunch time for PoE 2 when we're still a month away, and they actually have a week that dead from their announcement team. I mean, it's not an announcement team per se, but
interesting. So, and we're it's the end of the month, so 2 weeks away from their little announcement time, right? Because it was the end of the month. Do they have a date? I'm sure we've said it before. When they're
November
actually
15th.
No. The little announcement for it.
It's in 2 Fridays, whatever that is.
Is it on that Friday? Wait, really?
I should have it in my calendar. I forgot to put it in my calendar. Poop. November 1st makes sense. I remember us saying it was 2 weeks from the
it just said about a month from now we'll be doing a live stream, so they didn't give us specific. Cool. So they posted that on the 30th of September, so sometime towards the end of October we should hopefully have something.
Yeah,
and then we'll have stuff to talk about.
Well, but I still like Path of Exile, Justin. Still playing it. I had two builds that I came up with this past, 2 weeks. But I don't think I talked about it last week. And Justin, I have this list back in the day when Jonathan was like really busy on the PoE2 Reddit. Mm-hmm. We're going to go through this list.
Okay, this sounds like torture.
It is. You're going to hate it.
We're not going through that much. Where are you clicking? What are we looking at?
So I can at least don't worry about it. Let me talk about my PoE2 builds first.
Okay, but then tell me where I'm following along.
Because you're not going to listen. You're just going to scroll through the list while I'm talking.
We're not going through whatever you just scrolled through, because I heard like click, 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 click for all your scrolling.
It was about 21 scrolls. No, we're good. So this past week, Justin, up here. Don't look at these. Look at these. I
hate that. My eyes are up here. I'm aware.
Everybody knows. But have you seen what you have?
You know what I'm looking at? Get over yourself, wife. To my wife only. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Looking at your eyes.
Staring at you hard the next time you go to a restaurant.
It's always my wife.
So I was really excited for a Scion build with the Reaper. I was going to use that aggravate bleed bit, right?
Even you're bored?
Best you don't have to keep that. No, you don't have to comment on my yawn. I know you're taking it out.
It probably won't even be in, but just so everyone knows, it was huge.
Man.
It was a big yawn.
I stayed up way later than I should have finishing Trans-Siberian.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was really good.
It out. Okay, go ahead. Tell me.
So anyway, I came up with a Scion, but to basically just do the same Reaper build that I'm doing, but you have to make some changes because it's not leeching anymore. You have a couple extra nodes, and I was going with 5 endurance charges. So, but because I'm going 5 endurance charges, didn't have the space to get the minion accuracy on the tree, so you add precision. And so you add a few things, right? But it was like on paper doing almost the same damage, but I was thinking like, man, if the minions are always aggravated and they're bleeding and they're ruptured, like it's going to be doing way more damage than my necromancer build. So even though on paper it looked the same, I'm like, I'm going to check it out in game. The damage is going to be fine. But my EPH, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
EHP estimate.
EHP.
I don't know. Your
estimated health pool, something effective health pool.
Yeah. There you go. It was way higher than my necromancer, and I understand that the leech with petrified blood isn't recorded and calculated in POB, but I'm like, it was way higher, and I'm like, and I have all the same defensive skills still going on and more endurance charges, and I'm just like, okay. sweet. I'm like really excited for this. Let's get this started. And so I respect my scion in standard. I took over all my Necro gear. So it's the same gear from my normal necromancer on console. Swapped it over, did the gem changes and respect the tree. It got mutilated. Just mutilated. It had way higher EHP. It was looking at 320 something. And that was like with just crap garbage gear. I just make sure that I have the normal life that I'd normally have and that I'm capped with resists. And then it's just my skills. And then you set the configuration. Are enemies near you? Have you done this recently? And I don't have it on like the best case scenario with my setup. I always do worst case scenario. And the EHP was huge. And it was just getting massacred. And I'm like, man, what is it? I know I had to make some offensive changes to make the gladiator work, but I'm like, wow. The gladiator in the Scion. My other one was the Juggernaut, because I wanted the endurance charges without using Enduring Cry. And then that will let me use Battle Mage Cry for the crit chance for the sake of Rupture and that kind of stuff. And it was just getting massacred. I could not stay alive no matter what I did. And so I switched back to the Reaper version on my Necro. No problem. No problem. That was crazy. That extra physical damage mitigation from the... that was your phone, not mine. Yes. That extra physical damage mitigation from the Necromancer. And I was using a Golem on that one. And the Leech with Petrified Blood were like the only defensive changes. But the Leech with Petrified Blood is just absurd. Yeah. Like if PoE 2 wasn't coming out, this would be a talk where I'd be like caring about the future of Path of Exile type of thing, the first game, and I'd be like, man, there's no way that Leech stays as strong as it is. No way. No way, not a chance. Because it's just so crazy, especially coupled with Petrified Blood. But who knows? Who knows?
Man,
there's been some really overpowered stuff that would last for leagues before, right? Before they finally changed it. So yeah, I was really disappointed because I spent a long time knowing that on paper, this build was clearly superior to my Necromancer build. It just got wiped.
That sucks.
Yeah, because there were some situations...
at least you tried it though. Like you weren't just you know what I mean? Like it wasn't just a POB thing, but it does suck.
No, I gave it a whole evening. I did about 7 maps with it. And I mean, I wasn't going light or easy on it. I wanted it to be capable of doing the content that I want to do, not eventually do, but currently do. So I was doing T16s, valing them with my current Atlas passive tree, and it was just getting mutilated. And sure, yes, I have those harder rares that were normally in T17s from whatever Atlas notable that is. I forget what it's called. But I wanted to survive that. And I highly expected it to, because my Necro was doing super in those.
That sucks.
Yeah. So after that, I was like a little disheartened. I'm like, man, come on. Like I can make builds better than this, but I just wasn't sure why it was failing. So, I mean, it was probably just, I got so used to depending on Petrified Blood and Leech, just the power of that and the recovery rate of that I don't know, maybe I was putting myself in much more dangerous situations than normally I would have. I don't know. That's the only thing that I could think of. And I just kind of got used to the super strength of the Necro that I was playing dumber with the other build. But either way, I went back and I went to my Necro build, but I changed my zombie setup because I also tried. I think I mentioned this last time. I went with Montegrol's Grasp last time and they just got massacred. That was last week's conversation. So this week I'm like, man, sometimes I'm in the mood for zombies, sometimes skeletons, sometimes a Reaper, sometimes Dominating Blow. So I actually just set up my default build now on standard is a Necro, but I just set it up with a default setup so that all I need to do is swap out the main skill and it's good to go.
And it's worked, or you're just testing this out?
And it works fine. No, and it works fine. It's pure physical builds. So something like the Reaper or zombies or skeletons, whatever I'm in the mood for in that regard. I just swap out that blue gem with the other and away it goes. So because I use the Reaper, it just means that I don't have specters, because they'd be a pain. They're going to get consumed on occasion. But I do have a golem, and then it's the 10 phantasms at the end, and I just keep whatever I'm in the mood for, I swap it in, and then away I play. And it was kind of fun because I had so many sepulchers that I was in the middle of a boss fight. I would change my minions. So I'd start and I do a quarter of the boss health with zombies and see how it would do. And so but because I have punishment as well, though I think she's curse immune, but either way, before they get to half health, which is when punishment kicks in. So at a quarter life, I'd swap out my zombies for the Reaper, and I'd give that a shot. And then I'd swap out the Reaper for Reaper of Revenants. And then I'd next playthrough, I'd make sure that there was nothing like extra minion life or anything like that, so that I'd get the consistent mitigation, no endurance charge stealing, stuff like that. And then I'd play and, I do Reaper of Revenants, and then I do like skeletons. And then next build, I would swap out my wand for a melee weapon, and then I'd add Dominating Blow in there. And it was a lot of fun to just keep going back and forth. And I can even add Absolution, and all I would do is swap out 2 skills. So instead of swapping the blue one, then I would swap out Absolution with Brutality, and then where the normal blue minion skill would be, I'll put in Physical to Lightning support. And it all works great. It's a lot of fun. So I just kind of keep those skills in my character stash, or inventory, I guess you could say, and they're all level 20 now, so I just swap them in whenever I'm in the mood for something, and it's great.
What would change the mood? I don't
know. Like I was in the mood for Zombies of Slamming when I first started playing last session. And they still suck, but I'm like, it's kind of fun. And then I'm like, no, now I'm in the mood to like hit that button into a group and then watch those bars just kind of bleed down. So then I threw in the Reaper. But then I got tired of hitting the button. So I'm like, all right, now I'm throwing in the Reaper of Revenants. And I throw that in. And it was fun. I enjoy it. And I enjoy comparing stuff too, right? Like that's one of my big things with Age of Empires is I enjoy fighting against the same empire, but then of the same difficulty and on the same map. So I'll even type in the same map seed for comparing stuff, and then I'll try, okay, well, what are the English like if I only do range and siege? Okay, well, what are the Byzantines like if I only do range and siege? What about the Malians? And it's just fun. I like to compare, so I do the same thing in PoE.
Are you at the point yet where you can just go random and be comfortable?
Yeah.
I realized last week I was not.
Well, you know what though, the Byzantines are very unique. That's for sure.
I got the
Malians?
No, who's the one that you used to always play?
Oh, Mongols. Yes, you did.
I was like, oh,
well, they're very unique as well. I think the only people that I haven't played, and that's just because I know you love them, is the Ottomans.
Oh, great bombards all day long.
That's right. Yeah, I don't think I've ever loaded up the Ottomans before.
Yeah, they're sweet.
So. Yeah, they are. But I discovered the French have royal cannons. They're basically bombards that don't need to be set up. They just turn and fire.
Cavalry are so fun, but they just don't stay super strong. But I do like them.
So anyway, that was my week. I now have a generic build that I can just swap in and out, and I have a lot of fun with it. It's just been great. I don't have to worry about respecking anything. I know it's not purely min-maxed, but it's great. I really enjoy it. I got to scratch my Dominating Blow itch without making a brand new build. I just put in a melee weapon that has hits can't be evaded on it. And then I did the small gem swap, and then I went through and I did 2 maps with it. And it was by far the strongest of all the minions once it's set up. Like, it was just wonderful. But it's frustrating playing a strike skill for me. So that only lasted 2 maps. And then I'm like, sweet, swapped it back out. And I didn't have to do like any crazy respecking or planning for it, or didn't have to level for 3 weeks until I had a build ready. So yeah, it's nice. It's working out really well.
Sweet.
So Justin.
Yeah.
We can do this next week too, because next week there likely isn't going to be an announcement until 2 weeks before. Consider, well, I mean, it's not like I would know, but this week was really dead. So are they pushing for an announcement? I don't know. There's not really a reason why they need to have an announcement 3 weeks or 2 weeks or 1 week. Right. Yeah. But even if it's only 1 week away. Now, that being said, though, I think Path of Exile 2's beta, if it comes out on the cheaper end, like the $30 or $60, I could see people being so excited, including casual people that are used to paying for a game or MTX for whatever game they play. I could see the beta, just the early access, being around the numbers or higher of their current record for concurrent players at once.
Absolutely will, for sure.
So do you think they should give lots of notice, or do you think it's better to give notice closer to the date for the sake of hype?
Notice
Come
of
out with
what?
this epic trailer. Just like the whatever announcement they're going to do for the beta that comes out on the 15th of November. Mm-hmm. If it was your choice as a GGG head honcho, would you say let's have this announcement and this release trailer, whatever it is that we're going to do, right? This live stream as early as possible beforehand to try and let the word spread? Mm-mm. Or would you want it as close to the date as possible? 2 weeks, not 1 week?
Mm-mm. No, I think their 2 week idea is good. It gives them time just to make sure that they're good to go. It gives them time to put it out for people to be able to buy it. No, I think what they're doing is good. Put it out towards the end of October, and then cool. I mean, that's normally what we have for most of their league launches too, so they're just kind of used to that process. So, and you don't think 2 weeks is too much time, that the hype would die with casual opportunity before then? 2 weeks? No. And I don't think them being concerned about hype dying too soon has ever been a concern of theirs. So no. I don't think it starts now. No, I think it's good. Especially if you can just buy into the beta at any time. Mm-hmm. Right? Which I imagine they probably will. I imagine it's not going to be like, oh, you have to wait till November 15th. My assumption is whenever they do this thing, it'll be similar to what it was before, that it'll be up and ready to be purchased either that day or very, very soon after. Yeah. I think 2 weeks is also great. They just really, really need to stay on top of their website way better than they did with Path of Exile 1. Like events, locations, where to go. Like it needs to be a completely different experience going to that Path of Exile 2 website instead of the Path of Exile 1 one. I've been impressed with it so far, so let's wait and see what they do with it. Yeah. Just don't have calendars. No, you have to. No, you don't. To promo your own events. No, you don't. Promo it. You don't have to have a calendar on your site. You do not. You just don't. Especially if you're not going to keep it up. Just don't put it on there. Well, sure. Of course, with that last point, yeah. So with PoE 2 coming out, Justin, if we assume we have next week as well as a filler episode before it's pure PoE 2, assumingly, I was creating, and this was kind of when you were like avidly tired about all the news and information. Things were changing constantly, but it was still exciting because these changes were things that it was the stage of PoE 2 announcements or community conversation where we realized that GGG was willing to change everything and anything. They were no longer sticks in the mud about certain things that were frustrating our experiences in Path of Exile 1. So like there's still no like things like death logs or anything like that, but there was just so much that they were willing to change that the Reddit and the news that people were coming out with were extremely exciting. So I started copying and pasting certain screenshots of things that would be big reveals. And now it's been a long time. These are things that we never ended up getting into specifically as a card that we, insisted that we talk about. And then of course, I don't know, like even half a year or a year after some of these cards were made, we end up getting invited to LA to actually play the game, which is really cool. And again, whoever at GGG is responsible for inviting us, thank you. We had a wonderful time. So I thought it would be funny or fun to go through just the titles of these cards and see if they're still a thing or if we're excited for it or what. Okay. So we have this week and maybe next week for it if they don't come out with their announcement next week. Mm-hmm. What's our timeline like? You want to do a couple this week and do the rest next week? Yeah, do a couple this week. Am I supposed to look at anything? Because I have no idea what to look at. I'm going to read them to you. PoE 2 reviving party members. That was cool. We experienced that. It's legit. Mm-hmm. Unless they've taken it out. That was a really cool part. And they actually did it really well. Yeah, it was fun. I liked it. Yeah. Yep. As long as your party member isn't dying constantly, my mistake, things went well. I'm curious though, like, do you put like a diminishing return on that though? Like if the person, if somebody's dying, then the next cast time to res the person increases, and then if they die again, the timer can, like instead of it being a 4-second cast, it becomes a 5-second cast, then a 6-second cast. So you can't just have somebody constantly dying in order to get your way through a boss fight.
I think it depends on the scaling of the enemy. Like how much more difficult is that enemy with 2 people?
Right, because I just don't, you wouldn't want it to always feel like you need to do something in a group to make it easier. Like you want to have fun doing it in a group, but also know that you could still take on that challenge by yourself.
Right. I don't know. That's an interesting question. I mean, if you're playing co-op, should you need both people to defeat said boss? Probably. Sure.
So but
then
shouldn't there be a penalty? There's a penalty to me dying in single player. I'm starting over. I'm not coming back to a boss that's like 3/4 health down. I'm coming back to a boss that has to start from scratch. Whereas can I cheese the boss because I'm playing with somebody to like run them over here, get them in the middle of an attack, then run over here and res you? I don't mind that, but I kind of feel like maybe a diminishing return on that timer is not a terrible thing, that you can't just keep dying.
Maybe, but the boss's fight is going to, I mean, it depends on the balance of how difficult health and resistance, regen, leech, you know what I mean? Like if those things are in the game, maybe it's already a difficult enough experience with how long it's taking for you to find that window to re-res. I mean, for me to re-res you, not for you to re-res me, obviously. So I don't know. I think it's a feel thing, but I have no problem with a diminishing return if it ends up being that the balance of the game, one player can start taking on these experiences that should be co-op, especially if you get into like, it's still going to be parties of 6, right? Mm-hmm. So
cool.
Yeah. Next one is PoE 2 following a pre-built tree in game, and the game director for Path of Exile 2, Negative Frags, said that they implemented a pre-built tree, but the UX of it was a bit lame. At some point, we will make it better and have it in the game.
I mean, they did a similar thing in the Chinese server already, right?
That was posted 9 hours ago, as of the screenshot,
which
I posted in December 2023. So in December, that's what Jonathan mentioned.
Well, when we played at the thing, well, there were tips and I don't know what the word would be, but what's the thing called when you get help at the beginning tutorial? It gave that a little bit towards the skills you should take and the supports you should take with them, but there wasn't anything in the tree specifically towards that. I mean, I still think that's not a terrible thing to have.
Especially for guides. Imagine how involved the community would be if guides were that integrated. Here's your tree, click on it, and then it shadows in behind what you actually have on the...
I don't even care if it's somehow connected to guides. I just think having a generic one that they go like, oh, if you're playing a melee style build, here's a suggestion for the tree, or
kind of like the Chinese server.
Yeah, I think that's not bad for new people. I don't really care so much about the importing of guide tree things. Like, I guess that I can see the value in that, but I would rather just see them make something a little more friendly to the new person coming in that doesn't feel completely overwhelmed with the tree, but also don't make it so simple that that there's not variance or something for some, because that is the best part about the tree. It's your tree. You're kind of, building it as you go and figuring it out as you go, but without being completely overwhelmed by this terrifying spider web of buttons.
Sure. I agree. I think the new player experience should be more important than the experienced player, because the experienced player in this regard, not in general, but the experienced player can figure that out. What about importing a third party tree into your game? I mean, hopefully GGG allows it so that there's a first party option. Maybe you make it and save it on their website or something, which is currently horrendous experience on the Path of Exile 1 website.
It's funny. So I played WoW years ago, right? And then I just started it back up, and they have the ability for people to create a tree offline, share it, do a build guide, do whatever they want. and it exports. You can just copy I don't know what they call it, but it's an export string of numbers and capitals and letters, whatever. And you can copy and paste that. They've built it into the game where I can import that string and it will import the tree from that build. And I actually think that's a pretty cool idea because it does make it easy for somebody who wants to get an idea of what other people are doing. In addition, I mean, WoW also gives you the option to have multiple trees, but just now talking to you about it, maybe that's not a terrible thing to be able to have the ability to import from a third party site. I don't think third party is always bad with a game, but I do not like when it's a feeling of necessity, not because I want to or because it, you know, whatever. So I don't mind it.
Dependency is different than support.
Yep.
Agreed. Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to that, especially as somebody that enjoys being involved with the community in that regard. Next thing is Jonathan and me agree on what corrupted should be. And so moving forward, as of this post, Jonathan mentioned that corrupted is going to be corrupted. It's going to stay as unmodifiable.
I mean, it was like that forever.
It was, yes. So who knows? Again, like this isn't future telling, and it's not saying, again, GGG's changed their mind 100,000 times on things, and great, make the game exactly the way you want to. Please don't be pressured by us yet. We don't know the full experience.
Now, though. It's easier for them to make that decision now because the item doesn't matter in the sense of sockets. Whereas before, a corrupted piece of gear couldn't, you know, originally couldn't be changed in how many sockets or what colors it was, and then they moved away from that only recently, though. Really, if you think of like the length of the game's life, it's only been very, very recent that you've been able to actually effect a, you know, have some ability to change a corrupted item. So I think now it's easy for them to say that you can't be corrupting changing because the piece of item doesn't, the sockets and the colors they're not connected anymore. So,
and I'm still really curious the direction they're finally going to go with how drop rate's going to work. Currency, the frequency of currency and the power of currency versus, and a crafting bench, so to speak, versus base types, how often they drop and when they drop, and like mod restrictions, that kind of stuff. It'll be interesting to see what that whole combination is. No, probably not. That's probably what the beta's for.
Yep.
But I do like the idea of permanent stuff. Like the thing that really turned me on to Path of Exile was originally was the same thing that I loved about some of these other games where there just wasn't, you couldn't change your mind. You know what I mean? Yep. And like it wasn't like a save and reload, and it was difficult, and it was terrifying to respec because even then, like orbs of regrets were much rarer than they are now. Now you can get an infinite supply. Of course, they're adding gold as a respec option in Path of Exile too, but still, it's one of those things where that's one thing where it's not as terrifying to change your character anymore. But I still want there to be permanent options. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you'll only ever need one character kind of thing. You know what I mean? You don't have to go through and do other things. And I'm really curious what this campaign's going to be like, if it's still going to be as exciting as they hoped that it would be for so long. Yeah, so that one's it. This one's old news now. It says the PoE beta will go until launch. And this was copy and pasted also in December, but they're expecting... Jonathan said he doesn't know exactly how long the beta should be. I should hope it wouldn't need to be as long as a year. 6 months sounds more like it, but we will see. But that was December.
When we talked to him, when we went to Seattle, he was pretty upfront about the fact that he wants it to take as long as it needs to take. And yes. I like that. I don't care. Run the beta for 2 years. I don't like literally what's the difference? That you might wipe my character. You do that every 3 months to me anyway. There's no reason to me that I need an official release. If I'm honest, what do I care? I'm going to be playing
as
anyway.
A beta player. Yes. As somebody who's waiting for the game, you can get to the same stage that you and I were at pre-invite to LA of just being so tired of hearing about a game that you can't play.
You can.
At least at that stage, yes, you can pay to play
Sure.
a free game, but it's, yeah, I hear you. So
I think there's a difference. If it's a $30 buy-in, I have less sympathy for it because, yeah, okay, maybe you can't play it for the first couple months because you got to save up the money. But if we're talking like a very expensive paid beta, which I do not think they would do to themselves, I think that would be absolute suicide for them. I think realistically, I would be surprised if it's much higher than that $30 to $40 buy-in. It really would surprise me to see anything higher than that. So.
Sure. Yeah. And I agree. Originally, he was hoping for 3 months from what I remember in interviews. 6 months was like, he's really hoping it wouldn't go 6 months. But I think now at this stage and the scope and the difference of the game, you really do want that feedback. Like you don't want that feedback beforehand, right? With the exception of playtests and stuff. You don't want that because you want to make the game you're hoping to make. You know what I mean? And then once your game, like you've made some pretty final decisions, then some of these details, it's like, okay, well, what about dropper? What about this? Okay, maybe we cut a whole bunch of this and maybe we do like, that's good for beta stuff. You know what I mean? For these long-term things. So I'm on the same page. I'd obviously love the full product to be done as soon as possible, but I want it to be done well. I care really just as much about the company as I do as my experience in Path of Exile 2. So I really hope that they aren't swayed by any pressure unless I have no idea what the relationship is like with Tencent. So if there's been a date that they're required for the
I think they make Tencent pretty happy November 15th.
Yeah, that's right. I think so too. All right, how much time do we have left? Let's see. PoE2 guilds. It's not very high on Jonathan's priority list.
I don't think
he doesn't have
it
anything against any guild features, but unfortunately they're just not a huge draw for most players. Bull! So it's more like the kind of thing that would be upgraded post-release.
It's a really funny comment to say it's not a real big draw. That's because it's shit.
Like, right, that's right. I mean, transit sucks in our company, in our city, and nobody uses it. But that's because the routes and the times and the cost all suck.
Then we would upgrade it. Okay,
yeah, no, idiots. Fix it first. That's right. Yeah. Same thing with guilds.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. We knew that wasn't going to be a thing that would change. It would be nice to see them change it, but also, they suck at them, man. They just do. So, like, unless they have somebody come in with some fresh perspective or ideas for how to set it up, don't do what they have now. Like, that's not. It's not good. It's so like it's unbelievably outdated. It's so bad the way it runs.
Even when it came out, it was outdated. Yeah. Like it was just so minimal. Even then,
you just gave glorified groups. That's it. We can already play.
Oh, by the way, it costs a lot of money.
That's right.
To share these sash tabs. So,
they better carry that over to the friggin' PoE too.
Oh, if they can't figure out how to like merge guild stash tabs
and paid slots and yeah. Anyway,
lots to work on. All right. Last one is about PoE2 div cards.
Okay. Ty's getting very close to his screen.
No, I'm old.
Little letters, I get it.
No, Trello sucks with images and copying.
Yep.
I'm trying to be quiet so you can cut all this out. You make fun of how old I am and how much I hate Trello. Trello is so anti-old. So anyway, you just whatever.
Go ahead, get closer, bud.
Shut up! I'm trying to read.
Why don't you send
just
me the link?
read it. Who cares? Okay, divination. I don't know what the question was. Divination cards are a bit of a hard one. This was posted 1 day ago.
Maybe about
as
people
of
keeping
December
theirs?
17th, 2023. So also December 2023.
Maybe towards people keeping their div cards they paid for.
Yeah, I don't know. Div cards are a bit of a hard one. In theory, I like target farming, and I think in solo self-found, div cards work really well. However, in a non-solo self-found platform, which he's not saying this, I'm adding these in parentheses, GGG doesn't, maybe it's different for Path of Exile too, the solo self-found experience, because they're doing couch co-op and pausable play, stuff like that. But the game always revolved around the temporary league in trade, right? So to continue what he said, however, in non-solo self-found, you are in an economy that makes it so that you tend to just play in whatever area has the highest payoff. So this means that many players just grind the same map over and over again because it's the highest expected value, even if they don't enjoy that map or the experience. So for the sake of variety, I think we need to change how div cards work to some extent, because I don't have a specific plan right now.
Why can div cards not just be global pool random? I don't understand. Besides the idea of target farming, which I do understand that, because that was a fun part about Diablo 2. It's always been a fun part for me about any game, is knowing that if you run this content enough, you can work your way towards that, whatever that thing is. But maybe you don't have div cards that represent some of the strongest items in the game, and those strongest items in the game are just chance to drop. Like you can't really compare an ARPG style Path of Exile to like your normal RPG style game where I can go kill this boss enough times and I'll get the item that I want. When you're talking about the strongest items in the game overall, like I like that there's some chance, some randomness to that. I don't know what the solution is either, but I do agree with him. Also, though, I don't play it and go like, oh, I'm doing this map because my best value is coming from there. That's where I'm going to make the most. I don't do that. So I do understand that some people feel they need to.
It's interesting. He also had a second thing that I copied here, and he says, I'm not saying I'm going to remove div cards. I think the ability to save up is cool, but we need to find a solution to the fact that the correct highest expected value way to play isn't to grind the same map over and over again for eternity. And that coincides with what you're saying, because when you say add them just to the global drop pool and don't have them specific, that makes sense. When you have, if you have your most valuable drops coming from the global pool, it doesn't encourage that specific repetition that Jonathan's trying to avoid. Judging by these comments, again, this was December 2023. But at the same time, like, it is awesome to have a boss where you are grinding for a specific item. Yep. And sure, maybe there are some of those major bosses, right? The pinnacle bosses, who knows how they're going to be or how they're going to be accessed. If you have the pinnacle bosses dropping the best content, that makes sense. But if out of your, let's pretend the Atlas is going to be similar in its functionality, and just for simplicity, you have 100 maps and 100 different bosses in that Atlas. I think you want unique items to drop. And not talking unique as in the rarity, but unique as in, maybe possible mods or possible, I don't know, just something specific and unique that can drop from that boss. I think it's great, but I think it makes more sense to make it thematical. So let's say you have a fire boss. Okay, well, maybe that's where you would go for like fire resist or max fire resist, or like something to do with fire damage over time for like whatever righteous fire would be, or golem. And so you have all these different things, or you have a minion boss where they just constantly summon skeletons or something. It's like, well, I have a skeleton. You know what I mean? Like if there was something that was kind of pinnacle for that. And again, you don't want to get into a Dark Souls 1 situation where, okay, well, I'm playing skeletons. There's every skeleton player has to have this item or this mod. Like you don't want to lock yourself into that. But I like it when the boss has something that's farmable. There's a reason to go over and over. But like Jonathan said, it's also good that you're not forced to do the same boss or the same map over and over. The community, maybe your build, yes, but not the community. And so I think the answer is what you said. The best items need to be global.
I think what would be cool, like what you're talking about there, that it would be a fun idea to play with is, if so-and-so boss is going to drop this particular item or whatever, it'd be cool, because you don't want it to always be that the boss only drops it, because then what ends up happening is the map becomes wasted. People will rush through the map to just get the boss and they don't care. But if you had it where the boss has some incredibly low % chance to drop it, so I feel like there's value to me killing the boss, but make the zone that boss controls drops the div cards, which have a chance to be able to be used to build it. So if I farm the boss and the zone enough times and maybe I don't get lucky with the boss drop, at least I'm gaining some value towards building it, and I'm still clearing the map versus me just rushing through the map. That's one of the problems when you make an item that drops only from the boss in a map environment, is you take away the whole reason to do the map and kill the mobs, and you're just rushing to the boss if that's all you're farming for. But if you made it so that the people within the map also have a chance to drop these div cards or these progression towards that item, as well as the boss has the chance of just dropping it. I don't know, just something fun. I do like that. But yeah, I've never felt the need to go and farm a map or a boss, but I do understand that that is the mentality of a lot of players. You're farming it to get the currency. I know people do it even in our community. They will farm just to get the mage blood so that they can sell the mage blood to then, fund their characters. That for me would kill the game faster than it normally kills it for me if I'm just constantly doing over this. I've had that before. You just get burnout from it. So I don't know what the solution is, but I would love to see something that made it more open for me to be able to play, but then also don't tie a build I want to play to an item. I think it's fair to tie a meta build, this like headhunter style, mage blood, those are, but then make those drops more universal instead of tying them to a specific vote. Although how do they know it's going to be I don't know, man. I don't know the answer to that, because how do they know when they create an item like, oh, this is going to be
right?
Yeah,
because and now we tie back into the new player experience. I think one reason, and it's not a criticism to content creators, but I think one reason that content creators, their guides and their builds are so used and is because they're good builds, they're efficient, and they, especially the good content creators, they provide ways for new players to understand how to make their builds. So those, and then all of a sudden the marketplace.
I saw one Logan used, and he's brand new. I didn't help him at all, and he went online and he found a build, and this build helped walk him through level by level
experience,
where he was going, and it was very, very well done. I don't know what website it was on, but.
And I always think, it just as this is a personal experience as a guide writer, there's a balance. Like, you want to teach them, you don't want to hold their hand through it.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And if you need your hand held through Path of Exile, well, maybe, I'm sure you might be interested in the game, but it might not be a game for you. Like Path of Exile, you do need to learn the process, why you're making certain choices. So there's a balance there, and everybody's opinion on what that balance is going to be different, but there does need to be a balance. But if GGG doesn't get this new player experience right for Path of Exile 2, and it does need to be dramatically different than it is for Path of Exile 1, but if they don't get this Path of Exile 1 learning experience good, and again, not hand holding, but allowing the user, and I think the Path of Exile 2 playtest was, everything's going to be improvement to what Path of Exile 1 is, but it was done so well. It still needed a couple minor tweaks, but like the F1 system or the help section that Path of Exile 1 did was annoying. Like, I don't need a pop-up to tell me what a portal scroll does, because if I highlight the portal scroll, it tells me what it does. Like, I don't need the redundant information, but just that help section and the text that they had and everything else was just good. And the new systems for how to allocate gems, it's very self-explanatory. And I think they are in a very good state of mind regarding that. That being said, the new player experience is directly tied to the variety of builds and what's played and what's farmed. And it all comes down to accessibility. Do I feel like I can do my own thing, or do I feel like I have to do what somebody else who knows the game is doing? And if you allow me to learn the game on my own, you get variety in the marketplace, you get variety in there. And of course, that comes with item balance too, right? And so hopefully GGG has 11 years of experience there. My personal hope going forward is the opposite of what GGG has been doing. GGG currently, well, maybe not currently, but they've been mentioned in the past. And again, they've always been flying at the seat of their pants, but they felt responsible for changing the meta. So they would be fine changing the balance of skills so that a new shift was there, and it would be GGG's responsibility to change the meta, as opposed to trying to balance all skills to make them relatively equal to their own algorithms that they have, and then let the user experience change the meta.
I think they've always tried to do that to some degree. I think they've tried to get a a parity between the skills, but it's impossible. It's 100% impossible. But I do agree. I would love to see them try to make the game where I can play what I want, and at least I might struggle, but whatever. I would like, and I know I've probably said the opposite of this before. I probably said it before. I know probably people would hate that I'm saying something like this. I would love to see like uniques that are universally good go away. I would rather see uniques come out that are build specific or build defining, but not something that any build can take a headhunter and put it on, and almost every single build will be better. Almost every build can take a mage blood and put it on and it will be better. I don't like that, because then it feels the need to chase this one specific thing, especially when you're talking about content creators in a game with Path of Exile as big as it is. I don't watch many of them, but I have seen the jokes on Discord. It's like, well, yeah, you can clear all this stuff, but then when you realize the disgustingness of what you need to make that build work, then all of a sudden a new player, if that's what they're hopefully they're pretty obvious about this is not new player friendly, but I like the idea of trying to keep them all on some sort of level parity, but I think it's very difficult in a game this big.
Yeah. I agree. But I also agree with the direction that you're hoping for as well. And I think at the end of the day, I mean, they might not be against a mage blood or a headhunter, having a few of those, but at the end of the day, they've commented on saying we want rares to be way more powerful. We want them to be the most powerful in the game. And I agree with that. And I really hope that's the case, that just that crazy rare instance of you getting like 3 T1 mods or something like that. And that comes down to a whole lot of other details too, not just the design of unique items, but even the design of their mod system and their base type system, right? I remember when bows was super easy to get +3 sockets. Right, because I forget what the combo was, but it ended up that when you blocked this type of mod and then this type of mod, you were guaranteed to get the +2 to socketed bow gems, and that was only after doing it was actually a very simple and guaranteed process to go through and just really maximize. And so that was years ago, before bows went through their long stretch of not being the best. But yeah, I mean, as long as they have that system down, it would be awesome if rare, just a well-rolled rare, was just the most clearly superior item.
Yeah, as long as it didn't come at the cost of all of the ones you went through that were like a mod that should never exist on a top tier item. You know what I mean? Like what we currently deal with, where, I'm getting a T7 life. Yeah, come on, get out of here. I also, though, like, as much as I love crafting, I do like crafting. I would like to see less of me feeling like an idiot while crafting. I think right now the current Path of Exile 1 crafting, I've seen some of the people talking Discord about like how do they craft this item, and it's like I don't want to feel stupid reading how someone crafted that item. Like, I'm sorry, you did what?
Yeah, our build help section currently is.
I avoid it. Like, I feel
to Justin and I
feel stupid. It's great. It is very helpful for the people who need it, but I've read through it before, going like, I don't think we play the same game.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but thank you to everyone in our community and everyone else in any other community that does go through the effort of helping people and the time to type things out and to help. Awesome. It is huge. Time is valuable in everybody's life, and so thank you for doing that. We're going to wrap up now, but we have, like, crafting is our 4th card out of 30 next week. Next week might be our longest episode, but it's our final. I don't know. Like, this might be, if you think about it, and if GGG's on time with their stuff, and let's see, let's do the timeline. This might be our last. Next week's going to
be tough for us recording, just FYI. But yes, go ahead.
Too bad. We have like 30 cards, so
I have appointments in the morning.
You're saying too bad to me. I'm saying too bad to you. It's going to be great. This week might be our last quote unquote official PoE1 reminiscing episode, because next week our goal is to finish all these extra cards. So if you liked the end of this last episode when we were going through the PoE2 stuff, that's likely going to be the entire episode next week. And then the idea is that the week after that, we're talking about the reveal that GGG had, right? If they're launching it 2 weeks before. And then, of course, I highly doubt they're going to be silent leading up to that. So then we're going to have more news to talk about the week before the launch. And we'll probably already have our beta keys by then, if they're at an affordable price, except you're probably getting yours for free. And then we're into beta talk. So if the beta is going to be as useful as it is,
we're getting close.
I don't know.
All right.
Last PoE 1 episode, was it?
Forever Exiled 263. I'm Justin AK Tags.
263 Path of Exile 1 episodes. Let's see if it's the last one. Oh, and I'm Tyler Record Days.
Patrons, we will catch you in After Dark. Everybody else will see you next week. If you're looking for more information, you find down below. Get a website, foreverexiled.com. Pop into our Discord. It's very fun. Say hello. And Patreon, the way to support the podcast. You find them down below and on the website. Bye.
Bye. Bye.